the secret isn't to be fixated on this diet or that diet because it's the trend of the month or some guru says. The question is, what do I have to do for Paul Chek to keep as vital as I can, so as conscious, as clear as he can, so he can think rationally, logically, and help the planet become a better place? If I was to just say, oh, I'm going to be a vegetarian today and it made me sick, could I really spend the time and energy it takes to run an institute and help guys like you understand these things? No. And if I keep that game going, I'll end up in the hospital with cancer, like many of my vegetarian patients have given themselves, and I'm not really helping anybody at that point. Okay, so there's your lesson in the reality of life, digestion, and diet.
Yeah.
25 years as a 100% raw vegan.
No, I would say 15 raw vegan and 25 years vegetarian.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I tell you, today I'm living from the repercussions of that. You know, I went 25 years with no meat. I thought I could live on air and fruit. Okay, that is not true. You know, you can live without carbohydrates, but you cannot live without fats and proteins. Those are the key things that keep your body going. Your heart is total saturated fat. You know, so you need these good fats in your diet to maintain optimum long-term health. And I will say not every diet is for everybody.
And after 1 year of being 80-10-10 raw vegan, I ended up with 16 cavities in my mouth after having perfect dental health for my entire life. So that was devastating for me. And then my hair was also falling out, and I was very underweight, had a lot of difficulty keeping muscle mass on. Like, whatever I have right now, like, did not exist.
And during my period of raw foods, it was during the 80s, the whole low-fat era. Okay, that was some of the biggest crime against our country, is this low fat. Because low fat does not mean you're not going to get fat. That just means you're not going to assimilate vitamins, minerals, or proteins. You got to look at vitamin A, vitamin E, vitamin D, and vitamin E, and vitamin K. Crucial. They're all fat soluble. So if you're eating them without fat, you're not getting them.
And I also had a blood test done at the end of that year, and I was deficient in quite a few things, like B12, iron. My thyroid was kind of messed up too. A lot of bad stuff. And I didn't want to believe at first that the diet was doing me wrong.
And what do we know about human beings? You can't produce certain hormones unless you can get enough cholesterol in your body and enough protein in your body. So if you don't have a good enough digestive system to see, protein's very hard to get out of plants because it's trapped in fiber. So if you don't, this is why a cow has 5 stomachs.
So what you see out here is you see very simple things that existed a long time ago. Cows grazing on grass. But the model is, can the cow go graze on the grass? Can we then milk the cow? Can we take that milk? Can we make wonderful, nutritious, raw milk cheese with that milk? And then can we take the whey, which is 90% of that milk, feed it back to these pigs and grow them out and have a wonderful pork product as well for the market. And by doing so, preserving a rare breed, the Ossabaw Island pig. Now, part of the dairy process too is we have male calves that are born, so we grow those out, consuming only grass for grass-fed beef.
A cow's got 5 stomachs because it's got to ferment the protein out of the fiber in the grass, which takes a long time and a very complex fermentation process. We've only got 1 stomach, right? And we don't have that long of a digestive system like herbivore would. So each of us has a very unique need for animal flesh and different types of food based on our genetics. And actually,
yeah, I definitely think that the meat that's produced from a pasture-based animal with a rich natural diet, not only is it greatly nutritious for us, but it's got a different flavor profile. Animals that free range, you know, they have more flavor in their meat, plus the fact that we let our animals live to their full adult maturity. Their muscles are worked longer, and so it's much more rich. They have very good marbling, intramuscular fat. And so even though we raise Ossabaw Island pigs, which are smaller, and their pork chops are much, much smaller compared to, you know, what you would typically find in the grocery store, 1 is all you need, if that, and then you're full and you're satiated because you can also eat the fat from these animals and feel good about getting the vitamin E and the beta carotene and everything that's condensed in that. And all of that put together is nutrients for you, plus it also helps satiate you.
Every cell in your body is structured in saturated fat. It has been demonized due to the fast food business.
it's been researched. Byron Robinson, MD, dissected some 650 bodies and measured the length of what's called the entron, which means from mouth to anus. And he found that amongst human beings, there was a 100% difference in the length of their intestinal tracts, the longest being 42 feet and the shortest being approximately 21 feet long. Then he correlated the length of their intestinal tracts to the regions of the world they lived in and the types of diets they had, and he showed very clearly that the longer the intestinal tract, the more of a vegetarian diet those people were on, and the less meat was available in those regions. And he showed that over thousands of years, they actually grow longer and longer intestinal tracts, so the body had more time to get protein and fiber. And the more meat-eating populations had shorter intestinal tracts, like a dog, which has a short intestinal tract. So he showed that the body's adapting to its environmental circumstances. What's the point? Eating as a vegetarian just because somebody told you it's a good idea or some guru told you that it's a good idea is not a good idea, because if it goes against your genetics, it's going to make you sick. And why is that a problem? I can tell you quite simply, there's only one creature on this planet that has the power to make any significant change in the environment. It's a human being. Animals aren't starting forest fires and poisoning the earth with chemicals. That's what we're doing. So if we want to make changes in nature and changes in the environment for the betterment of the animals or for people themselves, we've got to be conscious of the fact that it's our responsibility to eat and live in a way that keeps us healthy and vital, because a sick body cannot produce a healthy mind. Your brain lives in your blood, and if your body's sick, your blood's sick, which means your mind is debilitated to the degree that your body is debilitated.
It's the people on the extremes that get cancer, and I have known at least 3 different vegans that have died of breast cancer. So when you get into these extremes, then you start playing Russian roulette as what we call being too acid or being too alkaline if you eat too much meat. You need a middle ground.
Yep, we're here with Paul Chek at the Chek Institute, and we're trying to, the RawBrahs are on a mission for the truth.
I'll quote Laird Hamilton right off the bat.
Love Laird.
And I said, Laird, what's your idea of God? Laird said, the truth. I said, well, what is your idea of the truth? Laird said, the truth is what works. And I say, amen to Laird.
I have a theory about lactose intolerant. I just say people are homogenization and pasteurization intolerant. They're not, they're not lactose intolerant.
Wow.
It's just an intolerance to pasteurization and homogenization. It's not an intolerance to milk. Milk's unbelievable. It's magic.
Go raw, but eat some raw egg yolk. Eat some raw milk. Bring these things into your diet. This is B12. This is how you're going to be able to live long-term on the type of diet that you want to eat.
Raw goat's milk was the closest to human mother's milk. And it has a bacterial profile that's very favorable for the human colon. So if someone can get raw goat's milk, especially if they need probiotics or they're having digestive troubles, that's an excellent food source. But again, it has to be from healthy goats. Okay. If you just think about this rationally or logically, which is hard to do if you're not healthy, is it? Most people aren't healthy enough to think deep enough to even know whether or not what they're saying is actually very intelligent at all. And if that was true, then why did God put animals on this planet, and why have human beings been eating them since the very beginning of time? And the question I have, if that was true, how would we survive in places like British Columbia, Alaska, England, and Europe when the ground freezes in the winter? And I hate to tell you, but plants don't grow in ice very well. So when you live anywhere where the ground freezes in the winter, if you're not eating those bad vibrations, you're dead. And none of you would be here. So now, check this out. This is the most amazing thing.
All right, RawBrahs and Raw Sisters, make sure you stay tuned. Click on the left screen to see a past workout with Paul Chek the Master, and then click on the right screen to see the upcoming video of how I find the perfect diet for you. Oh my goodness.